What's the alternative? Waiting for a year for a dollar raise, staying broke, barely being able to pay the bills. Oh shit, an emergency happens and you're not ready. That's the alternative if nothing changes. Welcome to another episode of the JJ Velasquez Show. I'm your host, JJ Velasquez, and in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about what to do if you are broke, dead broke, or you're just not happy with where your finances, you're not happy with your financial situation, you're tired of struggling, barely getting by. And first off, before I dive into this, I want to start off by saying, I get you. I've been there. I mean, it was just a few years ago, I was barely getting by, making $40K a year, just living, I always call it below paycheck to paycheck because I didn't even have enough money for my next paycheck to pay my bills. So I had to take out payday advances. That means you borrow money and you pay it back on your next paycheck. And I would take out one of those every 2 weeks or sometimes even 2 times where I'd go to 2 different places and have to get these payday advances just to get by to the next paycheck and next paycheck. And so I've been there. I've struggled. I always knew I wanted to do better, but didn't know how, didn't know where to get started. So that's what I want to talk about in today's episode. Give you some good action steps on exactly what I did to get out of that situation. But sometimes it just takes a breaking point as well. It was a point where I had lost my job. I had lost my girlfriend. And I was just broke in so many ways. And I'm just like, man, come on, this is not the life. I always knew I wanted to do better. And it's like, I just need to make shit happen. So that's when I started, hey, I need to just I just need to start somewhere. So I started with YouTube. It's right there. It's free. I started searching motivational videos, and that started to change my mindset. I started to believe in myself a little bit more. I started to hear some of these other success stories and millionaires from guys that were drug addicts and, just guys that were just very, no different than me. So that's where I started listening to those every single morning. Basically what happened was about 4 years ago, I read my first book, Think and Grow Rich. I actually had been given it as a gift from my network marketing days. One of my leads or whatever you call them gave me the book, and I had let it sit on my counter for weeks. Never thought anything about it. I had never read a book before then, besides like in school and stuff like that. But that's the first time I had a self-development book in my hand, and one of these on one of my trips, I was like, you know what? Let me see what this book's all about. I need to start doing something. I need to start thinking differently. Something needs to change. So I started with this book, and back then, like I said, I had never spent time reading or anything like that. So this book took me about 3 months, 3 months to read to actually get through the whole book and everything. But what it did for me was life-changing, and it takes just being, and that's the power of self-development. Just reading a book like that, it got me to think a lot differently. It got me to just realize like, wow, all these other guys have done it. All these other people have done it. Why can't I? What are they doing differently to get different results? What are they doing that I'm not doing that I need to be doing to be more successful? So I was really intrigued by that book. So after I read that book, I wanted to get another one. I wanted to keep reading. As I kept on reading, my mindset started to change. I started to, think a lot differently. I started to hear these people's perspectives, and, I started to learn different things and think a different way. And I'm going to give you guys some of the great books that I turned to and that I'm going to recommend for you that can help you out a lot as well. But I just wanted to first off by saying, wow, like that was life changing. It took me 3 months to read that one book. But since then, I mean, I've read over 50 books now. I can't even count the amount of books, and that's not even including the audio books that I listen to in the car. And you guys all have that opportunity in front of you. Most of you have, a commute to work or some kind of commute throughout the day. That, turn off the music. Use that time to invest into something that's going to help you actually get better. What is the music doing for you? Nothing. You spend that 15, 30 minutes, an hour a day commuting to work or whatever it is, even if you're just running an errand, even that 15 to 30 minutes of something that's going to empower you, something that's going to get you to think differently, that can be life-changing. So, and like I said, most of these books that I've read, they're on Audible as well. Audible is an app that you can download audiobooks, and you can find almost any book in audio form as well. So for some of you in the beginning, I think, that was a lot easier for me too, because I didn't actually have to sit down and read. So I would spend my commute, listening to these audiobooks, and I've listened to lots of audiobooks now, read books as well. And then what did that lead me to? I wanted to start surrounding myself with different people. It got me started thinking differently when I first started knowing that, hey, I'm going to go full into my coaching business. I wanted to find out how I can get better at this. What's the best way I can succeed at what I'm doing? And it's by finding someone that is succeeding at exactly what you're doing. No matter what your career is, whatever you're doing for work right now, I guarantee you there's someone that's very successful at it. So what can you learn from them? that maybe they can teach you. Maybe they can teach you a faster route. Maybe there's a course you can take. Maybe there's some books you can buy to get really good at these skill sets. And that's going to help you improve in your work life, make more money, all that stuff. So that's the first thing I did. I wanted to find out how can I be the best coach? How can I make the most money? How can I be the most successful? So I started investing into these masterminds. If you don't know what a mastermind is basically where you surround yourself with lots of people with the same goals. You have people that are making more money than you. You have coaches doing success or that are very successful. So you start surrounding yourself, you start putting yourself in these situations with people that are successful. Those people think differently. They do different things with their day. They have different habits. They have different disciplines. They have a different mindset. So when you start surrounding yourself with those people, you start to think differently. You start to perform differently. Pretty soon, you're making the money like them. You're doing the things that they're doing. So masterminds are huge, and there's so much different niches and different groups out there depending on what you want to accomplish. There's business masterminds where you got business coaches, things like that. I mean, I've seen all kinds of stuff from fitness to business to mindset. There's everything. So I encourage you, if there is an area that you want to get better on, start searching. Go on Google, go on Instagram, go on social media, and just type in whatever it is you want to get at. And I guarantee you can find something. But that's the first place you want to do. You want to start plugging yourself into places where people are like you, because I guarantee you most of our friends, our family, they don't have the goals that we want. They don't have that, they don't have the goals that we have. They don't have the dreams that we have. They don't have the skill sets to get us to where we want to be. So we have to start surrounding ourselves with different people. They always say you're like the 5 people you hang out with the most. So are you hanging out with 5 broke people? Well, what do you think is going to happen? The same exact thing. You're hanging out with 5 overweight people. Chances are you're the 6th. You're hanging out with 5 millionaires. Guess what? You're probably going to be a millionaire as well if you're not one already. So that's the power of plugging yourselves in with masterminds, coaches, things like that. So that's the first thing I did too. And trust me, I remember my first mastermind. It costed me about, I think it was an 8-week program, and it cost me about $6,000. And back then I was making like $3 or $4,000 a month. So, I could barely even afford it, but I had to put it on a credit card and stuff because I just was sick of it. I knew I wanted to make a change. I had to do something. I was determined to do whatever it took. So I put whatever money I could into that coaching program, and, that program was $6,000, and like, hey, now I can make that in a day. And that just shows the power of when you invest in yourself. You learn different skill sets, you learn different, ways of thinking, and you just have people there to support you and push you to that next level. So no matter what area, what career you're in, there's always help out there. You just got to put in the effort to find it. You have to listen to podcasts, you have to read books, you have to invest in yourself. Till this day, I've invested over $100,000 in myself now, over these last few years. But it's always the best investment we can make because we're going to make the most money the quickest that way. Plus these skill sets, they're going to last me a lifetime. Real estate, or crypto stocks. Sometimes those stuff take a long time. Sometimes we lose on those. Sometimes it takes us years to get that money back. When we invest in ourselves, we develop skill sets that are going to hold us a lifetime. I've gotten better at sales. My mindset and my money mindset has changed drastically. My belief in myself, my confidence, my skill sets in marketing, in coaching, in nutrition, in everything, in business. It's all gotten better because I've constantly invested in it now. And now it's paying off, and I'm not done. I still invest in myself to this day a lot. I've already invested $11,000 this month just in a mastermind and a coaching program. And I'm always going to continue doing it because I see the value in it. And some of you don't even know what it would be like to make $11,000 a month, or couldn't even imagine investing $11,000 into yourself in a year. But that's one of the first places you have to change that mindset, because here's the thing. If you want different results, you have to start doing different things. You keep going down the same path you're on right now, you're going to keep getting the same results. But what happens if you start surrounding yourself with different people? What happens if you start learning different things? What happens if you start developing different skill sets? What happens if you start investing more into yourself, learning this, going to this seminar, hiring this coach, doing this? Over time, you're going to be in a whole different situation. Because guess what? If nothing changes, what's going to happen? You're going to get a $1 raise at your job. What's going to happen? Nothing's going to change. So if we make the investment in yourself, and I don't care, it doesn't have to be a big investment, but hey, even a book, $10, you can buy a course for a couple $100. Just start off small. Start off with something you can do that fits within your budget, or hey, just put it on a credit card. Do what you got to do to get out of your situation. Because guess what? Like I keep saying, if nothing changes, nothing's going to keep changing. If you're broke right now, do you want to continue to be broke? You want to be broke next year, and then 3 years and 5 years, and you want your kids to suffer and not be able to have food, and you want to not be able to buy them what they want, not travel where you want. That's a consequence here if we don't do anything. So I want to really get this clearer because I've been in that and it's painful. Barely living paycheck to paycheck, not having money for your shit, just having no money in a savings account. Like that was me 8 years ago. And it's just like that can be, and that's the reality for most people. If an emergency happens, do you even have $10,000 in your bank account to cover that? Do you even have 6 months of savings in case you were to lose your job today? Do you even have an emergency fund? Most people don't. Most people don't save. Most people don't have this backup. So the first thing we can do is just start making a lot more money so we have more security. When we have more security, our family is safe. We have money to invest and have a better life, have a better time, enjoy the stuff that we want to do, travel, have the cars, have the life, have the food, have the lifestyle that we want. So I want you to realize that just because you're broke now or, you're in the current financial situation you are right now, doesn't mean that it can't change. But in order to make that change, we have to start doing things differently so we can start getting a different result. So with that being said, if you've never read a book or, you want it, you've never even spent any time to develop yourself, I'm going to start you out very basic where I start to give you a couple quick tips on some good books to read or some good things that you can do today to get started and get yourself out of the situation and get yourself in a much better situation, just like I did in a couple of years. But I want that to happen for you even sooner. So, like I was just saying, I've spent, over 100K myself. I've spent, lots of books, lots of seminars, lots of things for myself. And here's the thing. If you've never been a reader, you've never, read a self-development book or watch a video, well, you need to start because your level of success will never outweigh your level of personal development. So we need to start developing ourselves so we can get better. So first off, I'm going to start off by some of the books that have changed my life that are very valuable to you and that I'm going to recommend for you to get started. Maybe you start with one, if it's in an area that you want to focus on first. But first things first, I'm always going to recommend we have to start up here. We have to start in the mindsets because we have to start thinking differently. We have to start believing more in ourselves. We have to start thinking that we can do more, that we are meant for more, and that it's possible for us. So we have to develop a new mindset, a new way of thinking, a new way of, even thinking about money. So that's the first thing that I'm going to start off with is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So that's one of the best books that I first started with, and one of the ones that I first recommend you getting started with as well. Some other books that are going to be very beneficial too is one of my other favorites is called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter, because lots of us, we have negative self-talk. We don't think that we can do it. We're struggling right now. Maybe we're broke. We're not making the money that we can. So we have all these negative self-beliefs. We have all this negative self-talk. We talk to ourselves like trash, like shit, like, we don't think that we can do it. So this book is very beneficial because it starts to help you realize what you're saying to yourself on a daily basis. Because if you keep telling yourself, I can't do it, I'm never going to be successful, I'm a failure, I'm broke, that's exactly what's going to happen in your life. But if you start to talk to yourself differently, start to think differently, I can do this, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to do this. Well, hey, you're going to start to believe it. So that's the next one I would say again is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Another kind of money mindset book is You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. That's another good one for money mindsets. Let's start also talking about some different ones as far as even building basic habits. Okay, now we want to be more successful. Well, The Perfect Day Formula by Craig Ballantyne. That's another book that I recommend because that book helped me develop structure to be able to fit in the time for self-development and to work on myself. And this shows you how to structure your day. Wake up at this time, spend your first 15 minutes doing this, and then it helps you structure your day so you can actually start making the time for the important things in your life. So that's a good one I recommend. Of course, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. That's another great one. And look how thick this book is. That thing's just stacked with gold and stacked with value. Other than that, I got The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. That's another good one for you because it talks about just that moving that 1%, just doing that one small step every single day can really help change your life. And I'm a big believer, if you've been following me, watching my stuff, in that 1% better every single day. So how do we get 1% better every single day? We do one small thing consistently over time, and that could change our fitness, that could change our finances, that could change our life. So that's The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Another great book is called The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan. And that book talks about how we're so concerned with how far we have to go. Oh man, it's going to take us 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, to get to our goal. But instead, if we stop thinking about how far we have to go and start looking back at what we've accomplished the last 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and focus on the positive habits, it's going to put us in a better mindset and we're going to be in a lot better position. And that is the way we want to think about things. Like, 4 years ago, I wasn't even concerned about like how long it was going to take. I just wanted to make more money. I just wanted to do better. So we just always want to be concerned with, today. do what you got to do today. Focus on one day at a time, and we take it one step at a time, whether it's, your finances making more money or even your fitness. We just take it one step at a time. It doesn't matter how far we have to go, how long it's going to take. We start off with just that. So that's a great book on that. And then, of course, the book Mindset. That's a great book by Carol Dweck, and that goes back into, like I said, right up here, the mindset. We have to start developing new ways of thinking. So that's a great book on that. And then, of course, the good old 10X by Grant Cardone, and that just tells you to step it up, step everything up you're doing right now 10 times. Whether you're just everything, your work ethic, your habits, do 10 times better, and you're going to get 10 times the results. So those are some great books to get started. Of course, when we talk about audiobooks, I've got a whole album in there, a whole, playlist on there. David Goggins is a great one. He's kind of got the tough mindset, kind of no excuses attitude. I kind of love that. I vibe with that too. So this is a place to start. And like I said, if you really dive into this can change your life. Just imagine just even one of these books, you find one little nugget. It could help you in so much ways. Now imagine one of those books every month, stacked over 3 months, 6 months, your whole life can change. And that's exactly what it did for me. But I had to start putting myself in these environments. I had to start surrounding myself and start thinking like millionaires and successful people. And that's what these books can be beneficial for you, because these are people that have succeeded in this area, and usually they've wrote a book on it. So start off with books that you feel are going to help you out. If you need help with your money mindset or your mindset, start reading those books. If you need help with learning how to be more disciplined and structured, not making excuses, whatever it is, start off with those books. So I gave you guys a good place to start. But then also don't just, read, start actually surrounding yourself in those environments. Go to seminars. I try to go to a couple seminars every single year, self-development seminars, and you're just surrounded with people just like you, who want to do better, who are high achievers, who want to do more. You're surrounded with people that talk. You always get lots of great value from these. In fact, I'm going to one at the end of the month. It's just, and if I'm still plugging myself into these, if I'm still investing into coaches, if I'm still reading books, if I'm still doing this, and I'm a lot more successful now, why wouldn't you start? I'm telling you exactly what changed my life, from back when I was barely making 40K a year. And now I make more than that in a month. So it's just like, it all starts with that self-development. So, okay, now we know we need to spend the time doing the self-development. So one of the first things that I'll suggest you do is, we want to start making the time for this. And one of the things we can always do is and what I always did too, I would wake up 5 a.m. I would set an hour. Half hour would be me working on one of the courses or something I was doing on. I was developing different skill sets, and then another half hour reading. I gave myself an hour every single day before I went to work, before I started answering DMs, answering calls, whatever it was. I worked on myself first. You always have that time for yourself, and it could just be 15 minutes. It could be 30 minutes. Now I have my coffee and read a book. So I've developed a habit and a discipline where I'm making the time. We're never going to find the time. We have to make the time. So we can start off small. I start dedicating, even 15 minutes. You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m., whatever it is, but just start fitting in the time. If you can start developing a structure where every single day you're fitting in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, just imagine what's going to happen to your mindset, your beliefs, your skill set in just a few months, or when I would take a new course. Hey, I want to work on my sales. I want to work on, my business or whatever it was. Okay, what course can I buy? What can I learn? Okay, well, now I need to get through this course. How am I going to get through it? Okay, I would spend that 30 minutes or even an hour sometimes every morning. First things first, knock out some of that course. Pretty soon in a couple of months, the course is done. So we just have to start making the time for self-development. But hey, that's how we can really start to just now fit in the time. Or like I mentioned, if you're driving, if you're commuting to work, spend that 15 minutes, that 30 minutes, to work and back on a podcast, on a YouTube video, on an Audible, something like that. So you can start developing that every day, because that's all we need to do. We need to start learning new ways of thinking. We need to start investing in ourselves so we can be around people that are successful. And then we need to start just investing in our skill sets so we can get better. And then pretty soon, like I said, a couple of years later on, you're in a whole different situation, or maybe even a couple of months. It doesn't take that long if you just stay consistent. But like I said, nowadays with social media, the help is out there. You can find anything out there. There's books on it. And so we always want to find the proven roadmap, find someone that is successful at exactly what we want to accomplish. And just, hey, why try to figure it out on your own? Ask this person, buy their course, go to their mastermind, invest in them, whatever they do. And now you can get to your goal a lot faster. You have support. You don't have to struggle on your own trying to figure it out. You have an exact roadmap you can follow. Plus, You start surrounding yourself with these people, these mindsets and everything like that. Pretty soon, your whole life changes and, we get better and better. And like I always say, that's how we do it. 1% better every single day. But we just have to start. I don't care if you don't read right now. I don't care if you've never bought a book. I don't care if you've never invested one penny in yourself. We just have to start, because what's the alternative? Waiting for a year for a dollar raise, staying broke, barely being able to pay the bills. Oh shit, an emergency happens and you're not ready. That's the alternative if nothing changes. You're already here listening to this podcast, so that tells me that you want to improve your life. These are the exact action steps that I've taken to change my life. And like I said, so I'm 4 years into this stuff, and I'm still not stopping. I can't even imagine where I'm going to be even in another year, another 5 years and stuff. So I want you to start taking action on this. You can read all these books, but we need to take action on what you read. You need to start implementing as well. I want you guys to start learning new information. Spend 15 minutes every single day learning something new. Whether it's reading or watching something, taking a course or whatever it is, just start small and just build a consistent habit where you can do it. Like I said, I do mine with my coffee. First thing in the morning, it's done. It's out of the way. You could do it in your car just to start developing a habit so you can be in a whole different situation, because you were meant for more. You can do more. You just have to start making these changes. And guess what? You can be in a whole different situation. That's what I want for you. So I'm going to say it again. Your level of success will never exceed your level of self-development. So start investing in yourself, start developing yourself, because life gets better when you get better 1% every single day. That's how we do it. Let's get after it today. Let's go.